Good evening, White Witch 110 here. I decided this evening, instead of crafting, I'm going to be reading more of the story. Now, this story is called Twin at the Farm, and we'll pick up where I left off. She went up a step. Hello? We heard you. Nancy looked back to Ian, who shrugged his shoulders. He crept up behind her, and they continued upstairs one step at a time. At the landing, they listened and heard nothing. Could it be the person was hiding, or had they left? Did you hear? You did hear that, right? She asked. Yes, I heard the footsteps, Ian said. From below, they heard a door slam. Just taking off my neck brace, sorry. From below, they heard a door slam. Was this mystery man now downstairs? What was going on here? This time, Ian spoke up. Who's down there? We're just looking around. We aren't hurting anything. No response. Is this guy playing around with us? I don't appreciate this, he yelled. So do we go back downstairs? Nancy wanted to know. You stay here. I'll go. Ian made his way to the living room. Room by room, they were all empty. Back to where he had started. He called up to Nancy. Anything up there? Nothing. She came down. What's he playing at? That's what I want to know, Ian said, frustrated. The friends began wondering if it wasn't their friend Scott. Ian made a call. Where are you, man? He asked Scott. Home, why? He replied. Are you sure you're not at the farmhouse? No, why? Scott asked again. There's someone here messing with us, Ian explained. What does he look like? Scott was curious. A man in his later years, graying hair, with dress pants, white shirt, and business jacket. Nancy first seen him outside when we were in the attic. I seen him in the first floor window. Now we're hearing noises above us, then below us. Why don't you leave? Scott inquired. Ian didn't have an answer. He had no idea why they were still there. Scott said he was on his way. Ian informed Nancy of the conversation. I haven't heard anything lately, but I'm glad Scott is on his way. Not that we can't handle things, but an extra is always good. Together, they went over the main floor. Nancy opened the sideboard drawer. Staring back at her from the photo was the man they had seen. Ian, come here, she shouted. She handed the photo to him. That's the guy. Then, is he the owner? I can't understand why he's playing with us. Time had passed, and they heard a car pull up. It was Scott. Meeting him outside, Ian showed him the photo. What a jerk. Maybe he has more fun this way than calling the police. Scott took a look at the old house. In the attic window, he noticed movement. Someone's up there. Let's go inside. The guys hatched a quick plan. Each would take a staircase, and Nancy would wait, watching both doors from a point in the hall. She could hear the guys upstairs, and then their steps coming down. No one came down, she told them. Nothing up there, not even in the attic, Scott said. If it was just one of you, I'd ask if you were sure you seen something, but it was both of you. They stood in the hall with nothing to say. Seconds later, there was a noise from above. Nancy was past this situation now. She was of the opinion it was an animal that found their way in. The guys weren't having it. They bounded back up to the second floor. "Where is it?" she heard each of them shout to the other. In no time, they were back by her side. "This is insane," Ian said. Scott yelled out, "Stop messing with us. We don't appreciate it." Silence. It was now mid-afternoon. This explorer hadn't gone as they planned. This man had taken most of their time away from them. "Let's go check out the barn," Ian said. "Nancy thinks there may still be some stuff from the weddings." As the three walked out towards the wooden structures, they could not shake the feeling that they were being watched, but none of them looked back. There was nothing in the first barn but old feed buckets, loose hay. Of course, loose hay was everywhere. "Perfect breeding place for rodents," Nancy mentioned. They moved on to the next. "Bingo!" Nancy shouted. "Told you there would be stuff here." The table lay up against the wall with a pile of dirty chairs in front. "Here's a box of decorations," Scott called out. There was garland, flowers, and vases, some hearts, and lanterns, place card holders. He held up the tarnished triangle. Nancy made her way over. "These are nice, even without the shine." Some of this stuff was in poor condition. The lanterns were good enough. This stuff is expensive. Against another wall was a rather large wooden heart with smaller ones in a box. Dust fell from the hayloft. "Guys?" She pointed above. Ian nodded and climbed the ladder. It was nothing but a family of raccoons. Relief spread over the three of them. "Well, I'd say this place is done," Ian announced. Nancy couldn't shake the feeling she had. "There's something about that house." She stared up at it. "Like what?" Scott inquired. "I don't know. Like there is something there we're supposed to find." She looked at the guys. "I can't explain it. There's just a feeling. I don't know what it is." This was nagging, and it caused her to walk back to it. "What is it about you?" Nancy whispered to herself. Slowly, she walked around it. The guys stayed put. "What is she doing?" Ian asked Scott. "Filling the place out." "I don't really know." "What is it you need us to find?" she asked, coming round the front. At that moment, the front door opened, and there stood the man. He said not a word, only stared at them. Scott stepped forward. "Hello, sir. We mean no disrespect. It's just your house was thought to be abandoned. We only looked around. We took nothing," he explained. The man still did not move. "Sir," Nancy spoke up. He turned his head in her direction. "What my friend said is true. We only film and take photos. You have a lovely home." She smiled. Finally, the man spoke. "Thank you. I've been away for a while, traveling. I would be happy for you to come in and take a rest." "It would be a pleasure." Nancy looked at the guys. Together, they made their way inside. "Please sit down. I'll bring in some drinks." The gentleman left and returned with bottles of pop and water on a tray. "Please help yourself." The guys said they were fine, although they were parched. Nancy took up a bottle of water, Thank you very much. Exploring makes you thirsty. The four sat looking at each other. The silence was deafening. How long have you been away? Nancy asked. For quite a while, I'm sad to say. The gentleman answered. It must feel good to be home, Ian commented. Yes, it does. Where is your family? Scott asked. They've decided to stay away. You'll feel lonely in such a big home, Nancy pointed out. I'm used to being on my own. The family has been away for some time now. I'm fine on my own. The gentleman seemed so relaxed. You must have things to do. We should get going, Nancy said, standing. The ornaments in the attic, you're welcome to have them, he said. But they belong to you and your family, Nancy said, feeling guilty. She actually wanted to run up the stairs and grab them and leave before he changed his mind. No, please. They'll only gather dust up there. I have no intention of using them. He nodded his head and opened his eyes wide. The four made their way to the attic. One by one, they brought the boxes down. Some were small. Eventually, they were all in Nancy's car, including the sturdy tree. I don't know how I can ever thank you for your generosity, she blushed. I know they're in good hands. Thank you. They stood in the driveway and said goodbye. They thanked the gentleman for his hospitality and understanding. Any time you're in the area, drop by. My home is yours. With a smile and a wave, he turned and went back inside. The guys met up at Nancy's place to help her unload her car. Thanks, guys, Nancy said, taking a seat on her sofa. Help yourselves to something to drink. Are you going to check out what's inside these boxes? A couple of months till Christmas, Scott said. Of course I'm going to. You two will help me with the tree, won't you? She smiled. Yeah, no problem, Ian spoke up. With the tree together, they started in on the boxes in earnest. In amongst the ornaments, they began to find photos. They were all from past Christmases. The family was laughing, decorating the tree, opening presents, playing in the snow. I'll take these back to him, Nancy told her friends. I'll go with you. There's something about him I don't trust, Ian said. Why, because he was nice? She asked. No. What man doesn't stay with his family? Something isn't right. I agree with Ian. The man seems a little off, Scott added. Nancy thought they were being ridiculous. When they were done, her place looked fabulous. An old-world Christmas. Everything was as she had always wanted. The following day, Ian drove Nancy back to the farm. She knocked on the door, but there was no answer. I don't see a car, she said. Leave them on the porch. Ian shouted from the car. No, I don't want them to get ruined. As Nancy turned to leave, she heard the door open. Hello, she called quietly. There was no answer. Ian jumped out of the car when he seen Nancy move towards the door. Slowly, she pushed it open. Hello, it's me, Nancy. I found some photos in with the ornaments. I've brought them back. There was no response. Had something happened? Where are you going? Ian asked. To see where he is. Ian, the door was open. Who leaves their front door open? Seriously. There was no use arguing. He followed her through the house. There was no sign of him anywhere. No clothes in the drawers or closets, Ian told her. The bed hadn't been slept in either. There were groceries in the fridge and cupboard. Was he lying to us? A sinister thought came to Ian. Maybe his family is here. Where? He said they were living somewhere else, Nancy reminded him. Think about it, Nancy. Why would he give those family decorations away? He's seen her blank stare. I think he killed them. What? Think, Nancy. There literally is nothing here. No personal items, no photos. Anything regarding his family is gone. I'm glad we were with you. Nancy stood playing the meeting with the man over in her mind. Ian, do you remember seeing his car outside that day? Ian thought. No, just Scott's car was out front. Come to think of it, we never heard one drive up. None of this makes any sense. What else was in the sideboard drawer? I didn't notice. I seen the photo, and that's where I stopped. They went back to the drawer. The photo was still on top. Ian pulled it out, and the other papers with it. Spreading the papers on the tabletop, he began reading. Nancy, here it is. There was a newspaper clipping reporting the deaths of a mother and her 2 children. The husband was suspected, although he was out of town. We were talking to a murderer, but he was out of town. Nancy was upset. It's so easy. People at the hotel said that they seen him, but that doesn't mean anything. He could have easily left and gone back. Nancy's face was frozen. Ian took the papers in her hand. One was the man's photo, and the other a death certificate. The name on the back of the picture matched the name on the certificate. They looked at each other. Put the papers back and let's go, Ian said. What should I do with the Christmas stuff? It's all over my place. She was ready to cry. From the doorway came a voice. Keep it. They both turned. It was him. Why did you do it? Ian asked. It wasn't me. I was out of town. It was my twin brother, he explained. The figure moved forward. You're not speaking with a ghost. The man pulled a knife from his back. My brother was nowhere near here. He always got what he wanted. I was sick of it. Yes, I killed them, but he got the blame. But how? Ian said. It pays to know people. He smiled and brought the knife up. From behind he was pushed. As he fell, the blade fell from his hand. Behind him was his twin, and surrounding him, his family. He'd been sniffing around here. The twin pulled himself up. Harold, you didn't need to kill them. Jealousy ruined you. Now you're a part of us. His brother asked what he meant. You're dead. Your body is in my shed. The poison worked. Nancy and Ian had seen the shed, but the Barnes had grabbed their attention. They made their way to the shed, opened the door, and sure enough, there lay the body. Ian contacted the police, who were quickly on scene. He explained that they were urbex exploring. He added that they did not vandalize or steal. In the house, police found the knife, which dated back to the murder. DNA tests proved it had been Harold. Now under the paperwork, in the sideboard, was a photo of a man. Seconds later, another was found, of 2 men with their arms around each other. Twins. Moments later, in another, a woman and 2 children were there. Then, the twins. Harold was now living his best life in the warmth of his family on the other side. I hope you enjoyed that story, and I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. The week is going quickly, which is great. We are getting things ready for the new members of our family, which we are so eager to see in a week's time and bring them home. To all of my YouTube family, thank you for all of your comments regarding our new babies. And thank you for coming by to hear the rest of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be working on another one. And to anyone just passing through, please feel free to check out my other videos. There may be something there you like. You never know. And if there is, please give it a thumbs up. You can leave me a comment. I'll get back to you. Share any of them out. Family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, whomever you think would be interested in them. And while you're here, consider becoming a subscriber. And if you do, think about that extra step, clicking the notification bell so that you'll know the next time that I upload. And until that time, as always, ciao for now.